What keeps an army standing? Its weapons? Its soldiers? No. What keeps an army standing is the food in its belly and the supply line coming up from the rear. That line is an army's lifeline, its only connection to the home front. This soldier's lifeline was cut days ago. The one who brought him to this state wasn't the enemy, it was his own commander. What could drive a commander to sever with his own hands the lifeline of 40,000 of his men? Is this military genius or the most reckless gamble in history? The year is 1863, the turning point of the American Civil War, the city of Vicksburg. Perched over the Mississippi River like an eagle's nest, this fortress was known as the Confederacy's Gibraltar. If Vicksburg fell, the heart of the rebellion would be split in two. But for months, the city had repelled every assault. After months marked by failure, General Ulysses S. Grant stood before the most critical decision of his career: either attempt the impossible or give up.
Grant was surrounded by swamps, rivers, and enemy lines. His army was floundering hopelessly in the mud. Politicians in Washington were demanding his removal, and newspapers were accusing him of incompetence. At that moment, Grant looked at his map and devised that mad plan that would break every rule taught at military academies. When Sherman heard of Grant's plan, he felt the blood drain from his face. The plan was unthinkable. Grant would move his army south of the river, sever every connection with his main supply base in the north, and advance like a ghost deep into enemy territory. Sherman stood in front of his friend. "Ulysses, this is madness," he said. "Without supply lines, an army starves. Its ammunition runs out. The enemy will hunt us down at will. This is driving 40,000 men into a trap with your own hands. Please, think this plan over again." Grant, without lifting his eyes from the map, replied. His voice was calm as always, but firm. "No, Sam. The enemy is thinking exactly the way you are. They believe we will stay north to protect our supply lines. We won't strike them where they expect us. Our speed and our unpredictability will be our greatest weapons. As for the supply line, our true source of supply will be the enemy himself. Their fields, their storehouses. The state of Mississippi will feed our army," he said. Sherman was convinced this was a suicide mission, but Grant had made his decision. The greatest gamble in military history was about to begin. Either Grant would be remembered as the genius who changed the course of the war, or he and his 40,000 men would be buried in the dusty pages of history. First, the Navy accomplished the impossible. Ironclad vessels, under the cover of night, steamed full speed past Vicksburg's deadly river batteries. Amid a storm of cannon fire from every direction, wooden decks splintered and boilers exploded. But the fleet, though badly battered, broke through. The lifeline was cut. There was no turning back now. When Grant's army crossed the river, it became a ghost. No communication, no telegraph, no supply wagons. Only their weapons, limited ammunition, and an unshakable faith in their commander. And Grant did not let them down. The army moved with lightning speed. Grant hunted down Confederate forces that were larger than his own and scattered in different directions, one by one. One day he was fighting in one city. The next day, 50 kilometers away, he was destroying another army. Confederate generals could not comprehend what was happening. They were fighting an army whose arrival they could not foresee, and whose next move they could not predict. During this incredible campaign, Grant cast aside the trappings of a general. He ate the same simple rations as his soldiers, marched with them through the rain, and endured what they endured. Even his 12-year-old son, Fred, accompanied him on this dangerous journey and was lightly wounded during a skirmish. Grant had not only thrown his army into this gamble, he had included his own son. In just 18 days, Grant's starved army had covered 300 kilometers, won 5 major victories, and captured the Confederate state capital. And at last, from an entirely unexpected direction, they arrived at the back gates of Vicksburg. The supposedly impregnable fortress was now besieged from both inside and out. A brutal siege lasting 47 days began. The townspeople, under constant bombardment, were forced to live in caves and survive on mule meat and rats. At last, on July 4th, 1863, America's Independence Day, Vicksburg surrendered. As Grant watched the Confederate soldiers carrying the white flag, he gave his men a single order. "I will not hear a single cheer," he said. "These men are no longer our prisoners. They will once again be our fellow citizens." The fall of Vicksburg was the turning point of the war. The Confederacy was split in two, the backbone of the rebellion broken. Grant's gamble had become one of the brightest military victories in history. So what drove him to take this risk? Madness or genius? Grant had realized that military rules could become a prison. By doing what his opponents believed he would never dare to do, he wielded his greatest weapon, the element of surprise. He was the player who managed to step outside the chessboard. Is military genius the ability to know every rule by heart, or the wisdom to know when and how to break them? Grant's gamble at Vicksburg shows us that the greatest victories are sometimes born from the boldest dreams. But one question remains. In those critical moments that change history, just how thin is the line between absolute genius and absolute disaster? History cannot be rewritten, but on echoes through time, it lives again.